Thank you very much for having me.
Don't thank me yet.
You have the right to remain silent.
Is it finished?
Yeah, I just saw your character expired.
Because it's in a TV.
Do you have a single fact to back that up?
You know, this is the one where
Think you're funny?
you understand me?
I think you need to go get a dictionary.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So, this is our first long-awaited movie review. And we chose Hellraiser for said movie review. And what a movie.
Why did we pick Hellraiser again?
Because
Who
you
brought that
said that was just something you've always wanted to watch. So that's what we watched.
Was I talking about that YouTube guy,
Yes.
the Vile
Yep,
Eye?
yep,
and
yep,
he
yep.
was like ranking.
Shout out to Vile Eye.
Oh, it's such a good channel. It's one of my favorite newer channels that's come out in the last like year or two.
Right.
But he was ranking all of these villains based on their level of evilness. And Hellraiser, well, I always refer to Pinhead as Hellraiser. I've like always done that, which I guess he is
That
the Hellraiser.
incorrect, I guess, in a way.
I don't know. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. It looks like the name goes with the guy, but
Yeah.
he was talking about Pinhead, who Pinhead was in this movie for, what do you think, like 3 minutes total screen time?
Yeah, if that it was like oh, I don't want to compare him to Boba Fett, but it was like Boba Fett, like they're like such a cult following for Boba Fett, and he was in the movie in like Empire Strikes Back for like seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and then he first dies, and
Had to get that
know.
Star Wars reference in
Well, I was just trying to figure something. It's like Sean Bean in anything. You just know he's going to die at some point, so he's usually not in anything very long, and that's what Pinhead was.
I can think of 2 movies Sean Bean didn't die in.
This isn't about
The
Sean
Martian and Troy.
Bean. Oh, whew, that took a while.
Yep.
You dropped a brain cell.
A little trivia for everybody, but everything else he's ever in, he's died.
So yeah, we watched Hellraiser, the original Hellraiser, I guess you could call it,
From 1987.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Wow.
I don't even know where to start. Okay, this is the entire movie. I was trying to kind of like understand how I was going to describe like what type of movie this is. This is like, if anybody out there likes Dungeons and Dragons or any type of like literal chance thing where your decisions are being made, that's what this felt like. It felt like while writing the movie, they were rolling a die and they were like, well, if it lands on 5, Jimmy's gonna make it. And it's like the janitor in the production office, he's like, I'm not writing anything. Oh, it landed on 5. You're gonna do. Well, I've always thought it'd be cool if like a corpse comes back to life. And they're like, write it in.
Yeah,
We're just gonna smash it in the plot.
We need some way to resurrect Frank. This fucking Frank character in this movie.
Keep going.
He's like the most disturbingly
Stupid.
uncomfortable, one-dimensional character that makes no sense, but he's like the driving force of everything that happens.
Yeah. The movie's that's the weird thing about his character. The movie is almost literally about him in a general sense.
Yeah. But he's like, nothing about him other than he's just fucking weird.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you spoilers.
I don't even know how to describe the guy because he's just so flat, but he's just so fucking
He is
odd.
He is like
The way
how
he
you
talks.
write a hyper masculine man that'll do anything to get what he wants. But he's like the writer's version of that guy. So he doesn't seem real. He just seems like he came out of a movie in the movie. It was just like, hey, C-rated actor, we want you to be like a rough and tumble type that doesn't care about anything and gets what he wants. And then the actor's like, all right. I'm Frank. Oh, yeah, perfect. Write it in.
Can I come in?
I'm in the rain.
Yeah.
Don't I get to kiss the bride? One of the stupidest lines I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I think like what this movie was trying to do was just throw as much bizarrely fucking shock value-y weird things at you, and some elements of what he was going for landed.
Don't say landed. It was a slippery road at best.
Well, when you compare it to the elements that didn't land.
Okay. Yeah, it's a strong Olympic bronze.
Like, I'm not even, there's so many questions left unanswered, but what I enjoyed the most was like the creature effects.
Yeah.
And whatever fucking puppets they were doing.
Right.
And the part where Frank came out of the floorboards.
Right.
By using like reverse melting.
Yeah.
Like playing it backwards. I thought that stuff was all really cool, but where the movie was just like
super bizarre.
It was, I guess a movie like this should be void of any comic relief or any sort of levity. It was just so monotonely, abysmally drab.
Oh, it was
and
just
dreary
so
and
yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
And morbid. And
yeah.
Nobody in it was likable at all.
No,
you just sort of
agree with that.
Things you just watched a bunch of weird fucking people.
Yep.
Weird things happen to them.
Yeah, and
them handle it in these strange ways that I couldn't quite make full sense of. Like, why did Frank never leave the house? She throws that cube thing that has the ability to allow demons from other dimensions to come into this world and basically, I guess, torture Frank forever.
Right.
She throws it out the window, but he's not going to go outside to try to get it from her.
Right.
Because he doesn't want someone to see him.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. None of it makes sense. That's the most ridiculous part about it.
I could buy it a little bit if like he was under some spell where he wasn't allowed to leave the room. I could buy
I can
just
see
speaking
that.
for the part with the box going out the window.
Yeah.
But
I
mean,
could
not
buy
much.
into
Not
that.
much in this movie made a whole lot of sense.
Well,
I'm not sure why.
Go in, I guess, a little bit farther on your end on what you did like about it, like creature effects and whatnot.
Well, like I said, the movie was really good at making you feel depressed and just what's the word? It's just when there's just nothing but fucking like dreary ass shit.
Yeah.
And you don't even really get the element of watching decent
like a fun
you don't have anyone to attach to.
Right.
You can't identify with anything. You're just sort of watching this shit play out that's so fucking morbid.
Right.
But what I did enjoy was I was just amused by Frank, first of all.
Right.
I was amused by the woman that kept luring people up there.
In what way do you say that?
Just the way she played the part.
Okay.
I mean, although this whole movie it comes across like a cartoon a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Just like some sick little kid's comic book. This movie's like a drawing some little kid did in like first grade who's all fucked up. But so I was amused by how ridiculous some of the characters were and how a lot of things didn't make sense. But I did appreciate the aspects of Pinhead and his little entourage
of the what were they?
Cenobites or
Cenobites?
Cenobites
Yeah.
or whatever. And even though collectively that was about 3 to 5 minutes of screen time,
Yeah.
a part of me really likes that it was used, those characters when
Just
they
so
showed
bizarre.
up was used so sparingly. My favorite part of the
Okay, yeah,
movie
yeah.
was when Pinhead was talking, because I don't know, I just enjoyed the way his delivery.
Well, it was like super ominous and
Yeah, it's a waste of good suffering.
yeah.
Stop crying.
Yeah.
I don't know, the way he talked was just kind of cool. I'd like to see more from him, which I guess if we continue on with sequel-a-thon,
If we have time for
yeah,
another Hellraiser movie.
yeah, or maybe watch it on our own. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'd be curious to see more from him.
Yeah.
But I would not be. I don't want to see or hear from anybody else that was in this movie ever again. The acting was kind of atrocious at times.
Was rough to say the least.
Yeah,
That's why I think. That's why I said it intrigues me a little bit that you liked her, because her like whole shtick was just being a scared woman. Like that it was like the most one-dimensional.
The woman that lured people.
Yeah,
oh,
like
okay.
it's so one-dimensional. Like there was almost no room for acting in this. It was just, you're going to be super serious, scared, and timid the entire time. And the only times that you will show any type of like joy is when you're in Frank's arms. And it was just the whole thing was so odd. I don't know how much more I could like convey that. It was just so odd.
Yeah.
Like
there's really like, what can you say?
I don't even like even at the end of the movie when they're fighting that weird upside down penis monster thing that first attacked the daughter, they get out and like the door closes by itself. Like there was just like small weird things where it was like, I just don't know where to look necessarily for like Michael Myers. Like you watch that movie and you grasp kind of like where things are.
Yeah.
And you know, the universe you're in. I have no idea where I'm at with this movie. 0%.
Right. You had people you could connect to in Halloween.
Yeah. There was zero connection to anything. Now, the one, I wouldn't say redeeming factor, but like the gentle, like it is an interesting like thought thing, because I'm just fascinating with like how the mind works. Because there have been like studies that have like played this type of stuff out where like in this movie it's taught a lot about like this box will take you to pleasure and pain, and there was like one line where it was like basically where it's saying they become one and pleasure and pain are kind of the same thing. There are studies that show that the like I think it's the chemicals that are released with pain and pleasure are basically the same thing. And it's very confusing because one is obviously not fun and then the other is. And the theory behind this movie is at some point they're the same thing. And you can get your face ripped off and the only thing you're going to say is, Jesus wept.
Yeah, what was
the one-liner he had before he was dead again?
Yeah, see, I think that's where this guy was a little too far in his own head when he made this movie.
It was flipping a coin every time a decision.
Yeah, like he says something like that, and it's like, how am I supposed to take that? Is that supposed to be poetic or synonymous with something? Or because I didn't make the connection at all. I just felt like I was watching some fucked up shit play out the whole time.
Yeah. And another issue,
creative with that, give it that, I guess.
Yeah. Another issue that I have with this type of movie is it feels like there's so much background that was not touched at all. that you have nothing to kind of hold on to.
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sake, at the end, a homeless guy turned into a bone dragon thing and took the portal box out of a fire and flew away.
Yeah.
And then like the end scene kind of loops itself.
Right.
And it was like, who was hot? Like, what acid trip were you on?
Yeah. And they kind of gave you Frank as the vehicle to trying to understand this movie a little bit. Like, it's like too much of this movie had to play out through Frank.
Yeah. When Frank couldn't even be around.
Yeah. If they would have made him more interesting, like a more sympathetic character.
Yeah.
Where like he didn't want to have to kill people. Like they were very conflicted about it, but they both seemed pretty cool with the whole thing. Like,
yeah.
Now they lured like these pieces of shit in there, which, yeah, I mean, that's an avenue they could have explored in a different way. They went about it that way just to, I guess, speed things
super
along.
straightforward.
Like
yeah.
Frank needs to have people lured into the room he's staying in so that he can kill them, or she can kill them, or they can kill them together, and then he like liquefies their bodies,
like regenerates himself,
basically like mummifies them to regenerate himself. That was cool. I thought the
concept,
the bodies laying around was really like disgustingly cool looking. The way they were all fucking shriveled up and looked like they had every ounce of liquid sucked from their body.
Like you said, the creature work was kind of on point.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But it's like,
especially for that time,
it's like that's where all of the emphasis was.
Yeah,
that's where all of the like the A pluses went to. Yeah, everything else was just kind of a skeleton to hang that on, and it was hard to follow or make sense of in a lot of things were just sort of like done for convenience, like without much explaining of anything.
Oh yeah.
Here's this magical box,
right?
And you open it and you turn it and you close it again, and voila, you've just opened a portal to another dimension. I mean, I guess we don't need much explanation there. It usually hurts the movie if you even fucking try. But
about the box?
Yeah.
I
mean, it looked like a silly fucking Happy Meal toy, but but then the deal with what the hell was I gonna say? Shit.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna touch on some other point about something that was just like done for the sake of convenience, but God damn it, I hate when that happens. Brain fart. I've lost it. I've lost my thought. Anyway,
sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah. Point being is, there, like you were saying, there are interesting elements or avenues that I'd be interested to see explored.
Yeah.
So it has me on a fish hook.
I don't know if I'd say a fish hook.
It has maybe one or two little fish
it's
hooks.
Like I
in
smell
me.
something in the air, and maybe I
want to look behind. I want to open the box of movie number 2.
Right.
I guess you would say that you'd be happy to see a different creative mind behind the second movie, because I don't know if this Clive Barker, who puts his name above the title billing,
has he done anything else like that you can think about off the top of your head?
I recognize the name from somewhere else, but I couldn't place it.
Barker?
Yeah.
Wow, he does not look like what I thought he would be. And for Hellraiser, Nightbreed, Candyman.
Oh, Candyman, that's a cool movie. You should, if you want to see something else fucked up but done well.
Yeah.
Watch Candyman.
So he's done
the original, not the. I didn't see the remake, but I heard it was terrible, and I believe who said it.
Director. Let's see what he directed. Okay. So Clive Baker's.
This is like a director. It felt like someone who was trying to fit into like the elites club of
Right.
horror movie directors,
What did he do with Candyman?
and he was trying so hard.
Because he's not the direct. Oh, he's written it based on someone else. Okay, so he was a writer.
Well, I liked Candyman more than this.
Okay,
Um,
I'm not showing this because it'll get flagged. But
do you know the basic concept of that movie?
Candyman?
Yeah.
No.
If you stand in front of a mirror and say Candyman 5 times, then he appears behind you and kills you.
Why would you say it then?
Because you're daring to see if it's real.
Oh God. What? How many people does he kill in the film?
Maybe like 3 or 4.
Well, that's stupid. That fourth person is a idiot beyond belief.
Well, I don't know that they know how many other people have done it, because it's like a myth, or it's like a legend or something if you say Candyman 5 times in the mirror. But after seeing this movie, I've never said Candyman 5 times in the mirror.
Go say it right now.
I don't want to.
Why?
It would fuck with my sleep.
No, it wouldn't. If you said it, wait. Well, you would know if he's going to kill you or not right away, right?
No, you don't know. He might kill you later.
Well, you should say it.
That's the thing, is you're constantly on edge then.
Candyman.
There's no mirror.
Well, sucks for me.
But
I could have died tonight.
dude, I didn't know Tony Todd could be so fucking scary. He's
Yeah.
terrifying in that. Just the
Tony
way
Todd.
he talks or whatever. But like, that's what's cool about, like, you just talk about Halloween or
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, Candyman, Hellraiser. Like, you think of Pinhead or Freddy
Yeah.
or blah blah. Go through them. Like, Pinhead was barely in this.
Yeah.
He was in it way less than I thought he was going to be, and I really liked it when he was in it. At least it had that going for it. Like, if I didn't even like Pinhead, then I don't know how they would have ever made anything else.
Yeah. I think probably my issue with this movie, honestly, is that was the wrong screen. Look at that.
Woo!
I think my issue with the movie is the fact that, kind of piggybacking on what you just said, Hellraiser, Pinhead is like if you got a tattoo of like the horror guys,
Yeah.
it would be like Michael Myers, Freddy, Jason, and Pinhead. And like after this movie, I'm like, I don't think I'd get Pinhead. Like it's like, yeah, the character is like super menacing, but I don't think it was built up correctly. Like Michael Myers, like part of that first whole movie was like showing why he was the way he was, or not necessarily the way he was, but like why it was an issue that he was out. Right. Mm-hmm. This showed a little bit of that, but it was like done in such a weird way. Like the first like 10 minutes of the movie is like them going back to an old house. Her having flashbacks of having sex with her husband's brother. Frank then comes back to life after husband cuts nail.
That's what I was gonna say. The blood hits the floorboards, and then conveniently Frank is resurrected.
Right.
I don't recall much explanation about that.
Nope.
But
no, Frank literally was just like, his blood brought me back.
Don't look at me.
Don't look at me.
Help
Julia.
me. Don't look at me.
Don't cheat me. Don't leave
Come
me. You
to
can't
daddy.
leave me like this. I don't know.
It's just like they were like I said before, they were taking that shock value that they were applying to the creature effects and the gore, and they were just throwing that in every aspect with the weird ass characters and the weird ass dialogue and the weird assness.
Just everything was so odd. Like if the point of the movie was to make you feel uncomfortable 99.9% of the time, they nailed it.
Yeah.
If it was supposed to be a serious, scary type movie that puts you on edge, not quite there.
Yeah, I can get on board with the concept of demons from another dimension coming through a door that's unlocked with some fucking MacGuffin.
They weren't allowed in hell. That's how awful they are.
Oh, really? So
yeah,
where
that's
were
what they said.
Oh,
He
Where-
said some call us angels, some call us demons.
who would get them confused with angels?
I don't.
And where the hell were they chilling then? If it wasn't in hell,
Send a light land. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know.
I like
He
in the
said-
credits. The one was called Butterball.
The big one.
He's the one that looked like Patrick from SpongeBob.
Is a perfect representation of Patrick.
Yeah, and he was like the only one that like he would fucking turn on like a fucking stick or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
That teeth chatter one was pretty creepy.
he looked like Nemesis.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
But anyway, what were we saying about something?
I don't know.
Well,
Well, yep.
yeah, we probably wouldn't have gotten anything else really figured out. Anyway.
No, I mean, I just think the movie had, like most movies, or I would say like 90% of the movies, it had potential. The idea I think is solid. The creativity behind it, I think, is pretty solid. Execution wise, like I don't know, like yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to like redeem it. It would almost be like some of this would have to be like in a number 2 movie or something. Or maybe if Hellraiser was like Frank's story, and then we could live in Frank a little bit more.
Great.
I don't know. Like, how would you redeem this? Yeah, I just don't know.
I don't know. The thing with Frank is he's such a tough nut to crack because he was so ridiculous that it was amusing to watch him.
Yeah.
But he was just so fucking like flat as fuck that I don't know what the hell you would explore with him. All he does is walk around and say what his name is and can I come into your house and fuck you, and
Did he hurt you, baby?
and if so, well, that's awesome. I'm gonna at some point bring demons into your house because I buy a mysterious box that allows demons to come into your world, and I put candles around myself when I do, just to, because if you don't do that part, then they
Obviously.
might not actually.
That's a thing where it was like nitpicking like other ideas. It was like, like, what do witches do in a seance? Oh, candles. Like there was no significance to candles explained at all. And it was just like, oh, if he's summoning a demon with a puzzle box, he needs a set of 66 candles around him.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. It's just like having a big fucking smorgasbord of food, and there's only like 1 or 2 little dishes on the table that you like, and they're actually really good. But as for the rest of it, it's just like, eh.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, creature effects and stuff were like
really cool.
Obviously 80s, but like super cool, super fun. Like that version of the movie was like super intriguing. Not that like you needed to see any more of that to push the story along. I don't even know what you would need to push the story along, honestly. But yeah.
Why didn't these Cenobites attack the daughter when she had the box in her hand and she was sending them back to wherever? They just stand there. They
did kind of. They
just
did their
slowly
like slow walk.
They just slowly walk, or they stand there and go, no, don't do that.
Yeah. It's 80s. That's like an 80s thing for sure. I mean, that's like Mike Myers ripoff. Like, oh, what did Mike do? He slowly walked at people with knives. Like the one scene is literally one of them cutting into the wall with a sickle, and the wall's like bleeding.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, well,
yeah. That's another thing. Is this whole movie took place in like just that one house, right?
Yep, one house.
There was a scene in a restaurant. There was a scene where they were walking home.
Yeah, it was very condensed.
But yeah, it's like this whole thing was I guess done pretty low budget then. They put it all into the effects though. You can definitely see what the money went into.
Yeah.
It definitely was like had that pure filmmaking sort of stroke on it.
Rogue.
Of just a dude doing whatever the hell he wants, which is always
it's cool. It's cool.
I guess. But
I guess.
Yeah, the problem with this one is it just didn't have anybody that you could relate to or that brought any sort of different dimension to anything. You don't really want to remember anybody from the movie or care to. Just Pinhead, really. I'd be interested to see more from him in the sequels or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would imagine he would be in a... I guess I imagine he'd be in the sequels a little bit more than he was in this one, just because they probably realized what a gem they had with that character and concept there. So maybe they did a better job. Maybe this is kind of like Mad Max. Like the original one was so low budget and like they didn't quite have it figured out yet.
Right.
And it was a very fucking strange movie.
Right.
That was really, really off key.
Yeah.
But by the second one, they like found their niche that worked.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the case with
maybe Hellraiser 2 is the redeeming.
I mean, they made fucking like 4 or 5
because
of them
on the
hey Google, how many Hellraiser movies are there?
Hellraiser, tell me more. Here are the first 3: Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, and Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth.
What the fuck
Google
happened?
Talked twice.
That's
somehow.
a piece of shit. Anyway,
me...
whatever. I know there's 4 of them at least. But yeah, we do have a computer right here.
How many Hellraisers did they make?
I think this first movie got like a 7 out of 10.
Will there be Hellraiser 11
on IMDb? What? Oh,
it's a reboot.
Oh,
the 11th installment in the franchise. It is a distributed by Hulu in 2022.
I was gonna say we gotta.
Here we go.
We gotta do our whiteboard rating, but we don't.
Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, Hellraiser, Oh, that's a video game. I was like, what? Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, Hellraiser, Bloodline, Hellraiser, Inferno, Hellraiser, Resurrection, Hellraiser, Hellseeker, No More Souls, One Last Slice of Sensation. Oh, that's a short. Hellraiser, Deader. Okay. Hellraiser, Hellworld, Hellraiser, Prophecy, Hellraiser, Deader, Winter's Lament. Hellraiser, Revelations. Oh, that is a different Pinhead. Little Hellraiser. Hellraiser, Origins. Leviathan, the story of Hellraiser and Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. Oh, a documentary. That'd be interesting to watch. Oh, and then Hellraiser 2022. It's in post-production. Oh, wow.
So like I said, there's at least 4 of them.
Yeah. There's even like spin-offs, it looks like. My gosh. Anyway,
I don't think
there's
we're gonna
a
watch
lot.
all of those.
We'll do a choice few and then
I think we should try the second one.
Yeah, I'd
be really interested to see if there's this many goddamn sequels. Then the second one had to have
hopefully. Well,
slam dunked
I
it a
saw
bit.
on here super interesting fact. Because it's I gotta go back. It's good for the movie itself, obviously, but where was it? Because I don't want to get it wrong. Look at this budget: an estimated £1 million gross U.S. and Canada 14 million. Opening weekend was 4.4 million. They 4 times it on the opening weekend.
We could do that.
That's crazy.
We could do that.
We could do something like this tomorrow.
It's all in one fucking house.
That's crazy.
Just get some people on board that are really into Halloween special effects.
Yeah.
Just write a tight ass script with some cool ass shit.
Hey Tom, if you're watching,
throw it into Prime and open up the fucking
floodgates.
Yeah, that and the theaters, local theater houses, whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck. Do the drive-in. I don't know.
Maybe we should turn the movie we're working on into a Hellraiser sequel.
Yeah, that's what it needs.
That'll do it.
That's what the AI bot will be.
The Pinhead.
Yeah, we're going to look back on this podcast one day. Well, maybe not, but if we did, we would hear us mentioning about currently the attic is in the works.
Yeah. Up and coming movie.
Feature length. One day.
Yep. Well, that's all we can really say.
See, I'm actually giving myself like fucking deadlines to like get certain parts of it done.
Ooh.
So
Like
when deadlines are made, shit gets done.
Yeah.
So
that's a good way to do it.
Oh yeah.
Well,
so there you have it. We actually stuck to the subject for the most part.
Well, let's do the fun.
Sweet. There it is. That's right. It's on here. I forgot that was even on here.
The fun little ditty of you can take that screen now to look at. Let's do the fun little ditty of rating this correctly on our newish document of review rating.
Okay.
So we'll start out with you. Go ahead and tell me what you think.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale from 1 to 10 for sound and music.
A 5.
Oh, 5.
It wasn't anything remarkable, but it also didn't really distract or detach me too much in either direction. So,
all right,
it's just middle of the motherfucking road.
So I'll do a 4.5.
Okay.
My reasoning behind that is just a tad more negative than yours. There were definitely moments when I feel like the sound effects and or music was just not used correctly, or it was distracting in not a proper way. Just like very minor things, but I can't give it 100% middle of the road for that reason, I guess.
Okay.
So now we move on to rewatchability. So how many times in a week are you going to watch this movie?
Probably not again this week. I'll give it a 6.
Above average rewatchability?
I'll nudge it just above average, just for the creature effects, because there was some stuff going on in this movie that you don't really get to see too much of.
Don't know that it was that worth it, but
yeah, I'd give it a 6.
I am going to give it a 3.
Those effects carry it a long way.
That's backwards. I'm going to give it a 3 because I don't know of any situation where I sit down and I'm like, oh, Hellraiser. Like,
it's fun for the whole family.
This comes on cable network.
Get the wife and kids.
Late at night. This is not what I'm
Younger the better. They'll give you a lot of good ideas for Halloween decorations.
Sure.
Hey,
but I could also look up pictures of Hellraiser.
It's some fun indie OG shit right here.
Yeah, I guess. All right, now to story.
Whoa, boy. I'll give it a 3.5.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
3.5. Wow.
It's just too many fucking conveniences, too many unanswered questions, too many just easy fucking passes on things that needed more fleshing out. And just generic as hell. A lot didn't make sense about a lot. But I could follow some things. So, voila, 3.5.
Okay.
What the fuck? Oh.
Well, I will give this. This is where I start to be like okay with it, just gently, because the story, I think overall, had potential. The execution behind it was not there, in my opinion. So for that reason, I am going to give it a 4. I talked like I was going to give it some high score.
Actually, can you make mine a 4?
Oh, wow. What a copycat.
Yeah, I'm going to give it just a teensy-weensy bit more credit, just because although the whole aspect of Frank being in the attic and having to have people delivered to him to become whole again and needing someone to do it for him, I think that's like a good setup worthy of a 4. And I kind of was amused by the way it did play out. But if I imagine it in a slightly different way, like he couldn't leave the attic for, I said the attic, wow, the room.
Well, he was in, and that was.
Yeah, I guess it was sort of.
I don't know. I guess, I don't know if it was an attic, but it was the upper room of a house. Yeah.
But in any case, I'll nudge it just a little bit more forward.
Well, what do you think about the characters? The creativity of the character, not creativity, but just characters in general. This is for, I guess, kind of a grand.
Yeah, well, it left me wanting more of Pinhead, who I see is on the front cover and the only character there.
Yeah, it was all about him, but somehow not about him. Very confusing.
Yeah, but he was just such a presence and so memorable.
Right.
And like I keep saying, the amusement factor within some of the characters. I mean, if it didn't even have that going for me, if I was just bored to tears, like, because that's the worst sin of all, is to be bored.
Yeah.
But I really wasn't that in this movie.
But were you not that for good reason or a bad reason?
For an amusing reason.
Okay.
So yeah, Frank was just fucking ridiculously stupid. And the woman, Lisa, or whatever the hell her name is,
Julie or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I even though she was kind of having fun with the part, maybe she was just totally miserable. I couldn't really tell. She was something, but she was kind of enjoyable to watch. I liked that shot of her when actually it's right there when she's just sitting there holding the drink. And it's just like this long shot on her, just looking fucking just menacing,
being weird.
Yeah. I'll give that. Oh boy, I'll give it a 4.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just everyone else just kind of drags it down because they're just so unbelievable or one note.
Right. I am also going to give it a 4 mostly because I think there are other movies out there where the characters are even worse than this. Like, the characters did their job, right? It just wasn't great.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say average, but I definitely wouldn't say above average. So do you believe it? Meaning, do you believe the universe, this movie universe that the movie itself takes place in? Just like, with Marvel movies, you have to believe a certain aspect or a certain type of this is okay that it happens. Do you believe Hellraiser and Frank?
2. It was pretty bad. It was pretty low.
So you don't believe any of it? Jeez.
Very, very little. It was no.
I'm actually going to be a little bit easier. I'm going to give it a 3.
Whoa.
Just because, I definitely know where you're coming from. Obviously, we don't necessarily disagree on this. There was nothing to hang on to, really.
Not really.
I mean, in our mumblings of a review, it just was, you look left, you look right, nothing matches in between, and it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
The continuity was so, like, everything was so odd. One of the statements I said during the movie is when she's in that mental ward or whatever, the wall opens up, she's in this tunnel, she goes in this long tunnel, she's looking at the tunnel, red effect lights everywhere. The camera then goes to like a frontal shot, like light blue lights everywhere. Then it goes to like a different shot. Then it's like natural lighting. There could be a reason for it. It could be done just to make you irritated and unsteady. And if that's what it was, it worked.
Sure.
But there was no continuity through anything, and it wasn't in the good way where like it was making sense of something. It just, yeah. So
they just throwing shit at you and absorb it how you will.
So lastly, we have creativity. The only saving factor of this entire movie. What was the creativity like for you?
Well, this is an interesting one because where it succeeded, it definitely made itself memorable and raised an eyebrow for sure. You could, like I mentioned, this was definitely someone making this who was very much in their own head.
Yeah.
And got very carried away with certain elements, but I think they excelled in the creative department with specifically just with the demon or angel entourage, Pinhead and his crew. I just thought that was cool. And when they were around, the way in which they were presented with like the bright lights and the fucking swirling smoke and I don't know, it just was, I thought it was done pretty well. I don't really know how to word it, but I'll give the creativity a 7.5. I'm gonna have one decimal in here. Wow. Because like I said,
well, keep talking.
I mean, although it was some real fucked up shit, that's where all the creativity was.
Right.
I'd say it was effective for the most part, whether that be like something that was actually disturbing to look at, or whether it was cartoony, or whether it was fun or nightmarish, or gave you an idea for Halloween. Like there was some sort of element in there where you just couldn't really take your eyes off of what you were seeing because it was so unlike like everything else
you've ever seen,
we've ever watched. So in that regard, and again, it opened the doors to a whole universe of other ways to explore that creativeness, and that's the conduit for me, and I'm sure you'd say the same thing, that we would want explored further, because there is a certain element to the creativity here which is very potent and has a lot of potential. I just think all of the other story character elements that you need to make a successful, entertaining movie just wasn't all there to help support that creativity. But for that aspect, looking at it isolated by itself, I think was very very strong.
So,
and I'd like to see more of that.
So what I will say about it is, the funny thing about movies like this is when you have like all of this stuff, like in the mediocre realm, almost, I would say a huge portion of time, the creativity swings like so hard the other way, just because you have all of this nonsense. Because my guess would be, I don't have any type of like anything to back this up, but it would be like, my guess would be so much energy was put into the creativity of this that like it has to fail in other ways. It can't be a perfect movie, right? Like even great movies we see nowadays, it's like it might be, I don't even know where I'm trying to go with this, but like it's not 100%. Like you just don't get that. Where it's like 100%. You can't just get 100% across the board,
especially this like the first outing.
Yeah. So in that sense, like of course it's gonna lack a little bit. It can't not. But for my creativity, I think I'm just gonna go the whole way to an 8, because it is just like blatantly crazy. Just by like leaps and bounds crazy. I like, think about it. How many movies have you seen lately that are just this berserk of like anything?
Yeah, like it reminds me of an Eli Roth film, who he's another one of those so in his own head kind of filmmakers,
right?
And he just does it his way, and he's got like a very keen eye for that which is torturous and brutal, and there's so much emphasis and the creativity aspect for that. You can just tell that's like where he puts most of his drive and energy, and that the characters and the story are all just kind of second fiddle to that.
Right.
They're all very like basic one note. But like in those kinds of movies, if you can at least not bore me and be entertaining and introduce some sort of element within your creativity that gets me watching it,
right,
then I suppose you've
because then you can
done your job.
Yeah, you can kind of buy into it at that point.
And I just hope with the next project they get better at their game when it comes to those other aspects of the filmmaking that were weaker, that they can
weaker,
that they can offer a little something
that was awful. Yeah, sure.
Sure.
So yeah, after all said and done, the final combined score is a 4.575. We can round it up to a 4.6 if we really wanted to.
Yeah. I would.
We'll just do it.
As the fucking judges, we can decide what we do with our own goddamn numbers. So yeah, we're gonna make it a 4.6.
We're so angry for
because
I don't want to hear anything from anybody.
It's like one of those after we got done watching it. Would you say like you're happy that you saw it, or do you feel like you just wasted your night and you want to kill yourself?
No, I don't feel like I've wasted my night. I think the thing that sucks the most, like with anything, like this movie is like a cult staple. And to put it like super, super bluntly, I'm disappointed that it's a cult staple.
Oh,
like that sound, I know it sounds horrible,
which like, but you like see the parodies coming from.
But like, I just am like, I don't like Michael Myers or like Freddy and Jason. I kind of get those, like on why they just became a thing.
Yeah.
This I don't understand. Like, was it just because it was around the same times that it like piggybacked? Like, I would like a scientist to like study this movie on why this became a cult. I just don't get it. But in saying that, I feel like this horror-ish genre of like, you know, gore and stuff, it always has a cult following. It always will. It's just always been a thing that can kind of grind out like hyper creativity, like nonsense. You think about like Saw or like The Hills Have Eyes and stuff, like just like the craziest concepts, and it's just like, well, they work and they're really good and people love them.
Yeah.
So like, I get why it can do that, but
yeah, those are examples of horror movies
Yeah.
I enjoy more than this one.
This was just like really tough to swallow in the sense that like this got the traction that it did. Like it's just, but we are talking about the 80s when like nothing like this ever came out. Like there wasn't movies like this all the time, like there are now.
Yeah, unless you were going to see some fucking like weird like midnight showing of some exploitative grindhouse thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I'm not sure how this found its way to be such a such woven into pop culture. Like you see, if you're seeing like most iconic horror villains, you see Pinhead on there, but like his character, I can see like a way for him to earn himself into that collection of characters. He probably fucking does it way better in the sequels than he does in this one because he was barely in this.
You keep talking about the sequels like it's gonna be like
they have to be better. There's no fucking way.
What did the Vile Eye say about Pinhead? He couldn't have been ranked super high
in terms of like his evil.
Yeah.
No, he was actually sort of like between high tier and mid tier because it goes into his origin in one of the movies. I think like the third or fourth one,
or 15.
How like he actually started out as a human being, but then was taken over by some other.
Okay, well then I want to watch that because that sounds super interesting.
Yeah, and it makes him like more of a like a tragic character. And he kind of touched on like the way that Pinhead speaks is just very matter of fact.
Yeah,
it's not like hateful or spiteful too much.
Yeah, it's pretty direct.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, I'm here to do this. This is the situation you're in. You're fucked.
Yeah. Just
accept it because that's the way it is.
Right.
You know, no hard feelings. I don't know. Yeah. We'll have to watch the second one.
I don't know. If there could be if anybody does watch this and has watched like all of them or all but all of them, or almost all of them, tell us what movies are worth it in this franchise, because I would love to see a little bit more of like the mythology behind it, because that, like, the one interesting part about this is, like, to me at least, and this goes into like my sci-fi-ish love, it's like that box could open portals, but like somehow it only opens one portal, and it's to this Centibite world where these like people, these mutated people are, I wouldn't say mutated, mutilated people are.
Yeah.
And like this other weird creature was there, but that's the only time. Like, it's just like, so you don't know anything about it. It was like when Frank was talking, he was like, "Oh, you can't do that. The Cenobites will get me." Like, there was so much like backstory that wasn't talked about, and it doesn't. I don't need like, 40 minutes of a movie to be backstory, but I would like something to grab a hold of and like hang my hat on if I'm supposed to believe some of this stuff. But it was like, the first time you saw these guys, it was like, oh, okay, so that's this is what the cult following is all about. And then it's just kind of like, we didn't get to see enough of it. Nothing was explained correctly. It's just like the girls in the mental hospital, like, "Who are you? Get away!" Yeah. Some people call us angels. Some people call us demons.
Yeah.
It's just like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I wish it had sort of a different skeleton that they hanged the meat on. This whole thing with
pun intended,
with the house and Frank and she's fucking Frank, even though it makes no sense that she's in love with him because he doesn't have one likable attribute about himself. But she just
and the first time
has to love this guy and has to murder for him.
Yeah, and the first time she met him was I guess days before her wedding.
Yeah.
And he walks in and basically is just like, standing in the rain, you gonna let me in? She's like, yeah.
If they would have made
Am I
something
gonna kiss the bride? Yeah.
Like something we could have hung on to was if she was in, say, an abusive relationship with her husband,
100%.
She started to have an affair with Frank, but Frank wasn't ridiculous like Frank is, and neither was she. But then slowly they become corrupted.
This is the first time that I can buy into this story now.
Yeah,
because you said that starts to make total sense.
They just start out as pieces of shit, and they end as pieces of shit.
Just in a gorier, gnarly way,
yeah, and they're such turds that it makes Pinhead likable, and he's like this fucking pain-delivering torture for pleasure motherfucker.
How by the end of this, how did we pick him as our favorite character somehow? That shouldn't be. It should just be he was an awesome villain.
I like Patrick, but
Patrick. Oh yeah.
And then you have you already have the magical supernatural element of the box, right?
Right.
And that can open doors to other dimensions to bring in demons. But then you also have some other fucking supernatural element that I don't know in what way it's connected with blood dripping on the floor and that resurrects Frank. Yeah, how the hell?
I don't know.
That's why he fucked with the box somehow?
No, so that's why I said that they were just all over the place with what they were trying to do, because partway through the movie, I'm half thinking there's even more beyond what I'm seeing or being shown, because it's almost like the house is haunted. The floorboards are lifting up, doors are closing behind people. And it was oh no, the floor is now sucking up blood. Cuts to below the floor, and there's a beating cobweb heart. And I'm what is going on?
Yeah, what is this now? What is this element here?
I don't know. They were just all if they could have I know we always kind of joke with each other about you're throwing the clay on the thing trying to mold it, and then I'll come over and cut it apart and go at it again. But I feel none of that was done, because it was just him basically writing and directing it. It was just I'm not gonna take shit from no one, and no one can tell me to take anything out. So it was just all right,
Clive,
all righty, buddy,
do your thing.
Not that it was obviously it wasn't the worst movie we've ever seen, because we rated it just subpar. But man, was it something special?
Yeah,
that's all I can really say.
And what was the deal with that room that Frank was always in? Why
it was on fire for some reason?
Every time someone walked in there, or she walked in there, he waits for her to come back. What else is he gonna do? But he hides.
Yeah.
She comes in and he always has to surprise her somehow. She walks in, she's always so fucking miffed as to where Frank is in this empty goddamn room. Just looking around.
Tell me he's behind the small section of bricks that you don't see.
What a strange ass room. Just
I don't know.
Shadows that are so fucking dark in some parts of the room, but others are well lit. And he's just standing in one of these dark, deep, crushed shadows that you can't see him. And he pops out with his hand.
Right.
And that happens with everybody in this movie. Anyone that walks up to anybody has to sneak up on them.
Yeah.
They can't just say their name. Hey, Joe, or whatever.
Yeah, it's so freaking awesome.
Just a bunch of stupid.
The only time somebody was shouting anybody else's name is when someone walked into the house like a blabbering idiot. Like you do that you just get home and you're immediately door opens, close. Hey! 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 No one does that. And then
And this
they're
one
right
they
up and next to them, and they're like,
Yeah. Booga, booga,
yeah,
gotcha.
it's like, why? What are you doing?
Oh,
I don't
nothing.
know.
I'm just being in a Clive Barker movie.
I don't
He
know.
said to do this.
No offense to him. He's got hyper creative mindset. That is for sure. And like Matt said, Candyman was great. Yeah. So I might have to
The
take a
original.
peek
I
at
haven't
that,
seen
yeah.
the remake.
But yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we'll cut it there.
Yeah.
Because
I would say if you are amused or entertained by
look at
fucked
that
up
camera right
imagery,
there.
middle camera.
Yep, middle camera.
If you were amused or entertained by fucked up imagery, nightmarish fuel, hellacious stuff, creature design, practical effects, gore, if that's your thing, then sign yourself up for Hellraiser, the OG. Don't expect to see any Oscar-winning performances, or don't expect to get any lessons about proper story structure or how to make sense out of anything, because you're not going to find it here. But what you will find is the aforementioned fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Which, if that's your cup of tea, which it is for a lot of people, then hey, you look no further, or actually go ahead and look well beyond. But
look so much further, it hurts.
Yeah, I mean, 7 out of 10 on IMDb. A lot of people seem to like the shit out of it. So
yeah, I mean that's why I said it's like, yeah. It's got the cult following at this point, and it looks like it did since the beginning. And I mean, obviously, both of us have a certain taste in movies. This just missed the mark.
And again, important to mention, as one-dimensional as it was, it didn't really bore me.
No, not at all.
I'm scratching my head over a lot of things about it, but at least I found some value in watching it beyond just the creature effects. Even the parts that were considered bad,
right,
just had me kind of chuckling a bit to myself. Right. Or I don't know, we had fun with it.
Yeah, it was a good movie in the way of I laughed a lot, but it wasn't like there was no room for comedy.
It's a good thing you can at least laugh at the absurdity of it, because you're not going to find any comic relief in it. Right. It's like Mortal Kombat, when it's done right, is a very, very fucking dark, drabby universe. That's why we have Johnny Cage and Kano to crack jokes.
Yeah. You got to lighten it up at some point.
Yeah. So that works with that, but this didn't have anybody. The funniest guy was Frank. And
the funniest part about him was Frank. I'm Frank. Uncle Frank. Come here, baby.
Come to daddy.
Come to daddy. So odd. It was anyway.
I could just see Clive Barker going like, say the line.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the line. Say it would be really good. It's gonna be awesome, guys.
No. But anyway, comment, give us suggestions. Subscribe, do your thing, send us money, all that good stuff.
We accept cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we're good to go, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now, what's this thing?